Good morning and welcome into the Real Monica Adams show. The doggies behind me. That means we're going to talk about your dogs very soon. We're going to catch you up on some news you can use. We're going to look at the weather, and it is going to be severe tomorrow. So I want to make sure you are weather aware. Tomorrow, we will check in with our aspiring meteorologist, Beckett Moore. We might be talking tornadoes, severe thunderstorms. We might be talking some really strong winds. All of that as we head into a St. Patrick's Day weekend of a lot of festivities. And I heard one meteorologist today say something about maybe carrying over into Saturday morning, which would in fact then create a problem for those that might gather early for any kind of parades or things like that. So we'll talk about that. And then we've got what's going on with the National Day of Calendar, which is kind of ironic by something that happened to me yesterday. That is a very funny story. And I'll let Jessica come in on that story as we kick things off. Jessica Cooke, the owner of Yuppy Puppy Pet Spa and Yuppy Puppies Forever Rescue. And this is the show you do not want to miss. Just a couple of weeks ago, ironic, very organic, we started talking about what's in your dog's food. Are there hidden dangers? Is there sawdust in it? I mean, these are things that Jessica told me, and I'm like, what? We literally went to the store that day and completely changed and threw out things that we had because not one more day did we want to give something to our dogs that could be harming them or creating some of the allergies that you're seeing. So she's done a deep dive for us, and we've got one heck of an hour coming up for you. If you have any questions, any comments for us, be sure to drop them into the comment section. And by the way, I've got Jenny Egan here with us. Jenny is my assistant, and she is standing by to drop in links for you and make sure that you have everything that you need. All right, here's your weather, as I mentioned. So let's look at today. If you are looking for warmer weather, you got it, 81 degrees, and there's a slight chance of a spot shower. 59 for the low tonight. It's a 20% chance of that shower. Tomorrow, look at that. It's a first alert weather day. Strong storms in the evening. 81 again for the high, and then dropping down to 56, expected to be extremely windy. As we get into Saturday, see, there's still a chance of rain and breezy conditions, and then that temperature drops to 70. 38 though, pretty chilly for a low on Saturday night. 53 on Sunday. And then we get into next week. We're back into the 70s. St. Patty's Day is on Monday, so the big parade in Dogtown. Tuesday, 77. Wednesday, a slight chance of rain and storms. And the official start of spring is actually on Thursday. 59 is not going to feel like spring that day. 62 next weekend on Friday. And then on Saturday, it will be 69 degrees. So as I mentioned, we'll get a little bit better idea as we check in with Beckett, our aspiring meteorologist, tomorrow morning. All right, in news, Edward Jones laying off local employees during their restructuring. So yesterday afternoon, there was a spokesperson for Edward Jones that sent this statement out. As we continue our journey to serve more clients more completely, Edward Jones will be making changes to its home office structure to strengthen their collaborative client-first mindset and alignment with their firm goals. It's a multi-year initiative that will help firm deliver exceptional experiences to the clients, the colleagues, the communities, and ensure that they continue to attract and retain talent as an employer of choice for financial advisors and home office associates. Again, that was a statement sent out, and that spokesperson disclosed that as they make changes to their structure, the size of the home office will in fact be reduced. They haven't said how many employees will be laid off or when those layoffs will happen. The corporate office, by the way, is right there in Des Peres. They also have a campus in the Maryland Heights area. So you remember this story from years back, and now the captain of the deadly Ride the Duck boat tragedy in Branson, Missouri, is asking the judge to completely dismiss the case. The Ride the Ducks boat sank in Table Rock Lake, killing 17 on board, and that was back in July of 2018. Can you believe it? First of all, that it was that long ago. Investigators say Ride the Ducks had plenty of warning about the severe weather, but the boat launched more than 20 minutes after a thunderstorm warning was issued for Table Rock Lake. Again, the captain of that boat asking the judge to dismiss the case just days before he appears in court. 2 supervisors, by the way, are also facing charges. So we'll follow that. Any new information I will pass along to you. Okay, we mentioned the other day that it was Girl Scout Day. And I've also talked about this in the past. Girl Scouts are being sued over alleged heavy metals. We're talking today about what's in the dog's food. What's in your Girl Scout cookies? Mom in the background just said, what? Girl Scouts are being sued over alleged heavy metals and pesticides in popular cookies that maybe you buy. There's a new lawsuit that is alleging dangerous metals and pesticides through the youth organization. The youth organization is denying those claims in defense of its popular product, drawing in hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue each year. So here's your key facts. The proposed class action was filed Monday in the Eastern District of New York by a resident in New York and other consumers, alleging that it's contaminated with these dangerous heavy metals and pesticides. Does not claim anyone was sickened or harmed by the cookies, but they're requesting damages of at least $5 million for those who purchased the cookies in the United States. There are many other things that it cites as well, so you may want to look into this one and go a little deeper into the deep dive. I just like to put it out there for you and give you some news you can use, and then if you want to seek out more information, please do so. Okay, I had a chance to actually write in this thing when I was at Fox 2. You will be able to spot this around town. Here's where you can see the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile this weekend. It will be at the St. Louis St. Patrick's Day Parade on South 8th Street. The dogs are going crazy in the background from 12 to 3 on Saturday. The next day, the Wienermobile will be at the Florissant St. Patrick's Day Parade, which is on South New Florissant Road. That'll be from noon to 4. There's also a link that I can give to Jenny where she can drop it in if you want to go for a list of other Wienermobile stops across the country, and we'll drop that in for you a little bit later on this morning. As we continue on the Real Monica Adams Show with the news you can use, there is a new restaurant that is opening up today. Chef Alec Shingle's Robin Restaurant, actually opening up in Maplewood. He is an internationally acclaimed chef, and he will lead the kitchen, which is opening up today, 7268 Manchester, describing the vibe as a fine comfort experience, perfect for enjoying a meal without any pressure. The new eatery will be open Tuesday through Saturday evening. So if you're looking for a new place to go, I'm sure it might be packed because it's opening day, but there you go. All right, I am geeking out about this, folks. So I didn't get a chance to go to the big announcement with the media, but I could not wait to see this one. The iconic, fabulous Fox Theater has an amazing, and I do mean amazing, season plan for 2025 into 2026. From familiar favorites to the newest hits, the theater unveiled several upcoming performances. If you're a lover of classic stage performances, The Wiz, The Outsiders, Phantom of the Opera, Les Mis is coming. Also upcoming, The Life of Pi, Hell's Kitchen, and other new performances. Now, Jim and I, this is where I'm going to tell you all about the romantic side of my husband. He and I love The Notebook. The Notebook is coming to the Fox. That's on that list, as you can see. And then, as I mentioned, Hell's Kitchen, Phantom of the Opera, Harry Potter, Spam-A-Lot. What are you excited about? I'm super geeking out the fact that Les Mis is back, that Phantom of the Opera is back. I'm excited to see The Outsiders. Let's do it for Johnny. And then also...
Yes.
My audience in the background. Okay.
Yeah.
So, right, folks? Come on. You can remember the iconic film. Now we're going to see it play out on stage. And then how about sip on some gin and juice? Snoop Dogg is coming to the Illinois State Fair. Are you kidding me? He is so popular right now. This is huge. I mean, props to all of those that put together the lineup for the Illinois State Fair, because this is a big one. The American rapper, the singer, the songwriter performing at the fair's grandstand. Write it down. Wednesday, August 13th. And they were so excited, they said, to bring him to Springfield, back to Springfield and the Illinois State Fair. They said, we know from past experience that he is a crowd favorite with incredible energy. And as you're driving in the area, it may start smelling like skunks. I don't know.
This show's out of control.
They do have a $30 pre-show party ticket that's offered as an additional upgrade for all paid concerts. The State Fair, by the way, will run August 7th through August 17th in Springfield. And there's other ones that are coming. If you are a fan of Def Leppard, they will be there. A rising country artist, Megan Maroney, and even Sheryl Crow will be there. I've got jaws dropping in the background behind me. Yes, the Illinois State Fair, and you have to go see the Butter Cow. If you know, you know. Missouri State Fair, How about no one else on earth? Wynonna Judd is going to be there. If you've never seen her perform, I highly recommend this. She still is incredible as far as her vocal quality. August 7th in Sedalia, Missouri. So I'm pretty proud of Missouri and Illinois and what they're able to provide from an entertainment standpoint. All right, here's your National Day of Calendar. Good Samaritan Day. Got to tell you about what happened yesterday in just a second. National Open an Umbrella Indoors Day. That's not good luck. National Earmuff Day, and you see the doggies have the earmuffs on. National Jewel Day. National Dermatologist Day. Shout out to our favorite, Dr. Sarah Jensen, right there in Chesterfield and in Festus. National Coconut Tort Day. And look, we're here to talk about doggies. Today is National Canine Veterans Day. We love our babies. Yesterday, the Cardinals, what is going on with them? They lost again, this time to the New York Mets. The final was 2-0. On tap today, first pitch, it's the Cards and the Astros. That game is at 12:05. And there you go. There's how we do it. And I heard Jessica in the background say, this show is nuts already. I just kicked it off. It's 7:11, and this is when we take our first break. We've got some exciting things to do on the show for you today, and I know you've got a lot of questions about what in the heck is in that. First of all, should you even be feeding them kibble? Jessica, I think, is going to tell you something different. What should we be feeding them? That's all the things that we need to know. We will have more of the Real Monica Adams Show at Yuppy Puppy Pet Spa and Yuppy Puppies Forever Rescue with Jessica Cooke when we return.
Carroll House Furniture Homes look the best because of our free design service. Our designers please your taste.
Let's reimagine your room with 50 brand name choices.
We'll create a 3D design with a 360 view for your room.
Free design services are just the beginning. Free 0% financing, fast free delivery and setup, and the guaranteed lowest prices in the country with no stipulations.
You'll get a perfect custom floor plan for your new dream room.
Carroll House Design, because you like nice things.
Hello everyone, Joe Thomaser with Weingarten Vineyard here. Just had a great day at the set of The Real Monica Adams Show. I think the biggest takeaway and the biggest word for the day for me is passion. You can see with her craft of how passionate that she is to provide a different view from what she had done in her past career, now in a new career. She made today so easy, and it was easy for me as well, because we share that passion for what we do. When it's doing interviews on set, giving a different view on life, essentially, and different experiences for you guys. Today could not have gone better. I most definitely encourage you guys to continue to tune in to her shows, and maybe you'll see me back again. You will see me back again. Sorry, Monica.
It is time for Positive Talk Time. Jessica Cooke is the owner of Yuppy Puppy Pet Spa. They have 2 locations, by the way, so check them out in Cottleville and in O'Fallon, and then Yuppy Puppies Forever Rescue. So when we got here, Jenny asked the first thing, when did the babies get up?
6 a.m.
And so we didn't want to wake up.
You're right. Yeah. They were like, just grab a leash and take me potty. So they are ready.
They're ready to go outside, and then they're ready to say, it's time to eat,
Yes,
right?
breakfast time.
You know, I'm going to ask you that straight out of the gate. How do their bellies know that it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock here?
Their natural rhythm. They know, it's just repetitiveness too. They know, you know,
But to the second, Jessica.
To the second, just like my dogs know, my husband will say, are you on your way home? The dogs start waiting at the door.
Yes.
And it's, you know, it can be different times too, or they just start strolling in the kitchen when it's dinner time. So
you see all the things on TikTok and Instagram where the dog's looking at you, and then all of a sudden, I have all these dachshund ones that pop up now because of Adelaide, but it all of a sudden has those eyes and goes, excuse me, Mom, it's 5:05, and I just want to make sure that you know that I eat at 5 o'clock.
yes, yeah.
I'm like, it's so true, because that's what happens at our home. And does it happen at your home, right? The eyes of, hello, Did you check your watch?
Yes.
It's late. All right. You and I, a few weeks ago, started talking about the topics of that particular day. And I don't even know how it started, that suddenly we got into something about what's in our dog's food.
Right. I think we started talking about how, like, allergies and things, and people then just is my dog eating a good food? Is my dog eating good food? And what do you feed your dog? And I was like, I don't feed my dog kibble. And I was like, well, what do you feed your dog? And then I dove deep, and it was everything for years that I had already researched and going to conventions and meeting nutritionists. And I was like, I forgot, why do I feed my dog? I mean, I know, but like the reason, the deep reason why I chose not to feed kibble, and we're going to dive into that today.
Well, it's not just food, it's treats. I want you to think of everything. Yeah. I did a test on Tessa a long time ago because I felt so bad. I mean, you sit there and watch the dogs scratch like crazy and you're wondering, well, what is it? Is it something out in the environment? Maybe. Is it something in their food? And then these changes and they're living their best life.
Yes.
We talk about what we put in our bodies and what's allowed in the food by the FDA. It's the same thing. So if you're just tuning in, I want you to just load it up. If you have questions about a particular brand, we'll see if Jessica maybe found that on her list, or do you see issues with the dogs and you had a wake-up call when things change? Okay, before that, what an opening. Love it. You make my day. Well, thank you, Hats by Diane. We love you. Before we do this, all right, I'm going to be real. So I just told you it was National Good Samaritan Day. And I literally had a conversation with Jenny last night, and I said, I'm playing Good Samaritan. I'm on the phone with her, and she's listening to all this play out. I pull up at my mom's house, and I see a dog standing in the street. And I'm like, well, that's not a good thing because it's, she's out in Lake St. Louis, and I see it on a pretty, main road. And then I see this kid coming up in a scooter, and I figure it's his dog. And what caught my attention was the dog had like purple or pink feet.
Okay.
Okay? So I was like, oh, that dog got pink feet. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Then I see him come zooming up, and then I see everybody walking their dogs. Very dog-friendly area. And I look, and I'm like, is that guy's dog? And he goes, I actually think it's this guy running in the overalls.
Oh.
Okay. He's in shoes that he wouldn't be running in. And he suddenly is way out of breath. And I look back and I go, is that your dog? And he goes, yeah. And I go, do you need help? Yeah. And he's like, oh my gosh, that would be great. And I go, okay, hang on. So I just am unloading the car, right? So I go inside to grab my purse. All these things in my head, seconds passing by of, I won't want the dog to go too far, but I don't have my purse in the car. So I jump in the car and I go, here, come on. So he gets in, he's like, hi, I'm whatever. And I said, I'm Monica. He's like, okay, thank you. Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. And I'm like, let's go get that dog. So I drove around for 10, 15 minutes and tried. We're rolling down windows. We're asking kids. We're asking everybody, have you seen this dog? Have you seen this dog? Couple people spotted the dog, but I was so upset because I was talking to her and I'm like, I'm playing Good Samaritan, but where's the dog? Come on, God, just give me a glimpse of the dog. Now, go ahead and say it, because the three of you, as I'm telling the story, all that kept going through your head was?
So you just asked a guy running down the street if that was his dog and to get in your car?
Jenny, what'd you just say? Hashtag police. Go ahead, do it. Hashtag police officer's wife. Folks, this is the side, I'm sure, when Jim either sees this or any of you want to go ahead and text him and tell him, yes, that is his wife. I just want to help the world.
I get it, but also if there's a van that says free puppies, are you going to approach it? Come on, Monica.
He was in overalls and shoes. It was, and we all collectively were like, this guy needs help. Now, what I found was, and again, the good Lord took care of us. I hope the good Lord found Lady. He was supposed to call me and let me know, but I think he wrote my number down wrong. I'm like, please let me know, because what happened then is a guy that was just dropping off his lawnmower, a big lawnmower. He was like, all right, as soon as I get out of this, I'm going to go drive around. Somebody else, everybody that's walking their dogs, like, we'll look for it. What's the dog's name? And I'm like, here's the bad part of it. It isn't his dog. He was dog sitting.
Oh, see? Horror stories. I know. I can't stress enough with, I know a lot of people want to keep their dog in their home, and sometimes it's right. But to do their due diligence, so, boarding facilities, we have 5 gates that a dog would have to go through. And yes, things can happen anywhere, but he was chasing after the dog too. And that's number one. Right. If the dog gets out, you calmly don't chase. You try to pivot, kind of herd the dog, get it in front. And there's so many things, but yes, it's that season. We're going to see lots of dogs lost because of pet sitters.
Well, and while I was driving the guy, he said, I don't even know if she likes me because she ran from me. I'm like, So she's not even going to come to you if we go to get her. And so some sweetheart that was walking was like, hey, the FedEx guy gave me this, but my dog, now we're going into treats. My dog doesn't like this. So here, maybe you can get her this way. And I was like, okay. But all I kept thinking was, if that is my dog and I'm going to be told that my dog is running around, the reason I did it, Jessica, is I saw the dog. The dog was standing there. And then all of a sudden the kid's coming up on his scooter, which is scaring the dog. Mm-hmm. But he was trying to get the dog because he knew where it lived. Yeah. Then I'm seeing a truck come the other way and I'm like, no. I thought the dog was going to get hit. Yeah. And then the dog ran away and then stopped again. And we couldn't, unfortunately, get the dog. I don't know what happened. If you live in Lake St. Louis and anybody knows if this dog was found, or now, I think it was like somebody said something about a Lopso. I don't know if it was. I just know it had pink or purple feet. So that's my story of being a good Samaritan that my mother and Jessica and Jenny think I'm nuts. What about all of you? Would you have done the same thing, right? We're going to put that out there. What would you have done in this circumstance?
And I can't wait to hear what your police officer husband says too, what his personal opinion. In our defense. Yeah.
Oh, come on, folks. All right. Well, he does now. My mom just said, does Jim know? He may know. Good morning. All right. I'm going to pose that to you as we now get deep diving into the dog's food. What would you have done in that circumstance? Would you have just let him be by himself? Would you have let him try to continue to run? Because now the dog's taken off and he's running in his overalls. What would you have done? Would you call Lake St. Louis police? I was trying to help, and so was the entire community, by the way. They were all amazing. But yes, I heard it. The other thing in my mind as it was playing out was, I am asking all these kids. This one little girl, you could see, was doing a TikTok video. She turned her music off and she comes over. She came close to the car and I thought, oh, this is what parents are told. Don't have a kid. Because I played.
Do you like puppies?
I played one of my best friends, Julie. We used to work for a rec center, and my mom knows about this. I several summers played the role of the stranger for Stranger Danger to teach them not to. Yes. And I had all the kids come. Do you want some ice cream? I've got a puppy. Oh, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, kids, where are you going? And then they looked at me like, you got us in trouble. I'm like, I'm the bad stranger. I don't want to play this anymore.
Yeah.
All right. That's my fun story of the day. So if you're just tuning in, let's get into this. So what is in our dog's food? Are there hidden dangers, etc.? So as we look at that particular picture, you're going to say that we shouldn't really even be feeding them that at all. Is that right?
Right. And here's a little bit of breakdown why. So nutrition is one of the most important environmental factors for your health. Think about it. They're digesting it. They're eating it. That's where they're getting all their nutrition. So kibble is basically like picking out the best bag of chips for your dog, for your kid, for life. Like, it's so ultra processed, and dog food is more ultra processed than anything human grade. So we're lucky if any vitamins are left in there. And so there's little things we can do, because yes, it can be daunting and scary on how to, am I going to have to cook all this meat and these bones?
That's what Jim said.
Yeah, yep. There's to start small and transition is very easy. Also in kibble, dogs do not have a carbohydrate requirement, and the average bag of kibble has 50% of carbs, which carbs turns to sugar. Mm-hmm. So think diabetes in a bowl, mm-hmm. think inflammation, think disease. So by feeding this, there's so many cancer-causing agents as well. And so some of the things, and also too, one of the myths is, well, dogs need crunchy food for their teeth. And actually, so dogs chew, they rip and swallow. They don't chew their food like us. So when people will say, oh, that dog swallowed that whole, that's how they eat. They digest it. So the actual like fresh diets are the only way that the enzymes can help break down all the plaque and things on the teeth. And go back to the bag of food that has the carbs and sugar. Well, that's like eating candy for your teeth. So kibble is actually making teeth worse. Yeah.
So, I mean, all of you, again, if you have any questions about this or any aha moments, and start texting people to let them know to watch whatever platform works for them. This is so mind-blowing to me because, I can think back when I was a little girl and everybody bought probably the same kind of food. They're just running up to a grocery store, whatever we need to get, right? And then you give it to the dogs and you think that you're doing right. I mean, mom's in the background listening like, well, I didn't know we were doing something wrong. Right. All along, we should have, and I just put a slide up that I'll put up for you again. All along, is this what we should have been doing? But people isn't it a convenience aspect? They just want to run and get a bag of dog food instead of doing all of this.
And that's how it became popular. So back in the day when dogs became, as pets and considered part of a wealthy person's lifestyle, they would eat the leftover scraps. So they were eating, and we used to, as humans, we used to eat better back in the 40s, 50s, 60s too. We weren't, having all the processed food. So if they were getting the fat that was trimmed off the meat, they were getting the leftover vegetables, the crusty dry bread, they were eating all of that and living longer and healthier. We also overfeed our dogs too much with kibble. And because you say, well, my dog scarfed down that food and I'm feeding what it's supposed to. It's because it's not giving the dog, it's not filling up the dog. It's all fillers. It's kind of like giving them Chinese food. And when you eat, then you're hungry 20 minutes later.
This is true.
So there's no substance to kibble either. Also, a lot of people say, oh, my dog free feeds, they graze. Well, dogs aren't grazers. They're not cows. If a dog isn't eating when it's in the bowl, it either has food fatigue because it's sick of eating its food. So it's literally going to its bowl to survive because that's what it has to eat only. And they know they're not getting the nutrition from it. So if your dog's like, oh, my dog eats when he's hungry. No, he's eating to survive. He's not getting the nutrients in that food.
Look, all right. Again, if you are just tuning in, we're doing a deep dive into dogs' food and what we should and should not be giving them. So it's interesting because you also have people say, oh, my dog is picky and doesn't want to eat this. And now I got to figure out what does it want to eat. It's really trying to telling us something.
Nose and taste buds are so smart and they know what they need. So if they're not liking that food, they can tell it's rotten. They can tell it has things in it. It's not going to provide them any nutritional value. Also, when you're like, oh, my dog has an upset stomach, it's eating grass. It's not getting the proper nutrition that it needs from its meals.
That's why it's eating grass many times?
Yeah.
And eating grass to throw up.
Or just calming the stomach. Actually, dandelion and dandelion roots are a great soothing need that helps lower their blood pressure, of a variety of health options. So if they're looking for those when they're coming up, they're like, I have to go outside and get some nutrition because this lady is putting this bag of Doritos in my bowl every day and I'm sick of eating it.
Chips, processed. Think about all those things. And that is what Jessica is saying is happening as we give them this constant kibble. So do you think, again, even if we start to affect a few of you and then you start to get the word out there, that people are going to be like, yep, whatever. I'm just going to still continue to go to the grocery store. But if you truly care about your animal, you will make changes, even if we started making small changes.
So, for instance, another wise tale is, I have to stick with this food because if I switch food, the dog gets sick. That means that food that dog is eating is not providing nutritional value, and it's keeping things at bay by not, like, if for instance, like so many like dogs with intolerances, if you're feeding the same thing every day and then you switch up the food, of course they're going to have issues. So you should actually, no matter if you want to buy kibble, you should still switch a brand and a protein every 6 months.
And the other question is, a lot of you, I'm sure, have been told maybe by vets or other people in your life that you have to keep a little bit of the one transitioning to the other. Is that true or no?
So if you've only fed kibble your dog's life, you are going to get some of that tummy issues and everything, because basically they have to do a reset. And so it's harder. So our rescues, when they come in, we feed them a variety of everything. And so when people say, what have they been eating? We literally tell them a little bit of everything: Greek yogurt, bone broth, pumpkin, or your dog can eat whatever. And we've done that to condition their stomach. So when they go home and they just eat, and we try to educate too about what they've been eating and why. And so by just starting a way of life of doing that, so it can be a little bit of trouble of backtracking. So the processing, so it's more processed than any human food. So think of, whatever is the most processed food, Funyuns or something. Dog food is more processed than that. And so all the vitamins and nutrients are pretty much lost.
She's getting ready to say a word that I'm getting ready to do a big show on. I just saw it.
So glyphosate is the main ingredient in Roundup, and
Yes.
it turns up in kibble constantly.
We are going to do a show with a woman who's been on the House floor that is so passionate about getting glyphosate out of our food, now evidently out of dog food. And I hear every morning a commercial that repeats over and over and over again on the streaming news platform I have, talking about the farming industry and how it's been around for 50 years and how it's good for us. I'm so confused. That's why I want to do this show.
So there's a lot of the things you see, like when you're driving and you see farmland, it's used for dog food. It's not used for human consumption. It's used for products and soy, which is still we're putting on us, but it's not. You rarely see any of the food that is the crops that are actually going to be food. It's made for products. Which one of the products is dog food, because it's not FDA regulated.
I'm glad you said this, because I'm going to bring it up when we do that interview. Somebody else had said, okay, and it's probably the same thing when they're buying dog food or human food. Oh, well, if I buy organic, then I should be okay. And they're like, no, not necessarily, because it's still in the air and coming, and it's going into even the things that you think are going to be healthier for you. This glyphosate thing, and anybody, don't do it yet, because we're not going to get deep into it. This glyphosate issue is a big issue.
It is. And think about, like, for us, so maybe it's things that we're touching, we're spraying, or dogs are ingesting this.
Yeah.
So they're 4 to 12 times higher to get cancer. And then also you add that's in the bag of food, then all the sugar and carbs, which is cancer causing. So we're literally feeding kibble, to me, is a bag of cancer.
And obviously sugar is what cancer feeds on. All right, this is all mind-blowing, is it not? I'm going to take a quick break. A lot of you brought up specific brands. Okay, what about this? What about this? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Go ahead. Ask any questions about the food that you have. If you're frustrated right now because you've been trying, I want you not to have shame or fear. I want you to be released of that.
There's little things too that can make a huge difference.
We're just trying to educate you. But last time that Jessica was on, we talked about treats as well, and how milk bones, she said, have 17%
sawdust.
How? Just hang on to that. It's just mind blowing. All right. All of this coming up. Yeah. Go ahead. Drop the questions in while we take the break. We'll get to your questions and these specific brands you asked. I've got some questions about this as well. We got a deep dive for you of what in the heck is in your dog's food when we return.
Discover your full potential with a personalized styling experience. Designing, customizing, and transforming the looks of men and women. Revamp your individual style and embrace what makes you, you. That's real confidence.
Se quiserem saber se eu volto, diga que sim, mas só depois que a saudade se afasta.
All right, I love my fashion, and ironically, the name Love is in this place. Have you been to the Boulevard? Have you been to Richmond Heights? Have you been to Love Launch? This is like a God wink. I went to have lunch with my mom and my brother the other day, a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, look, I got to get to a meeting. I have to go. Right across the street from this Mexican restaurant was this place, Love Launch. And it caught my attention. I love my style and I love really well-made clothes. It caught my attention and I ran in really quick and I was like, what is this place? I don't have time, but, and they were like, oh yeah, hi, come on in. I'm like, no, I really don't have time, but what is this? And they're like, oh, it's Love Launch. And I said, well, I would love to get a card because I want to come back to this. So Love Launch has a location in Richmond Heights and on the Hill. And this is what caught my attention. So that's mine, by the way. Maybe they can give several of them, but I cannot wait to wear that on air. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go and visit with Leah, the owner of Love Launch, now open at the Boulevard. We're going to be there on Thursday of next week. We're going to do a mobile Monica and I'm going to be in love. Jenny, you might want to watch my credit card. I will be in heaven. Here's the cool thing about them, by the way. A lot of it is by appointment only, and they love that they are providing that. So we have a scammer I see that is popping on. It looks like they are on Facebook. I'm going to have Jenny get this person. No one give any attention to this Patty, whatever person's name is. My brother said the other day, Well, you're getting a lot of skimmers. That means you've made it.
Yep, that is. Yep. The trolls and the groups and the haters you're big time.
Good luck, Patty. We're not listening to you. Go away. Okay. Diane just asked before we get into some of the other ones that came up a few weeks ago. If you are just tuning in, and I know a lot of people tune in every second, and if you have to run off to work, you've got to come back to this one and watch the whole thing on replay. You asked about specific brands. We're going to give you a breakdown of those, and she's going to give a rating. How far down do we go? A, B, C. Does it go to F?
Yeah, it goes to F.
Woo, okay.
It goes to F.
All right. You do not want to miss this aspect of it. So for all of you that are tuning in, good morning. Oh, Ann just said she would have done the same thing about the Good Samaritan. Thank you, Ann. Exactly. There's one on my team. Diane, is blue canned dog food good for my dog? The blue buffalo.
So I rated the dry food, but however, canned food is better than kibble.
Is. Okay.
So dogs have to have 70% of hydration to absorb any nutrients. So even if you added water to your kibble, bone broth, that's a big, huge step. If you're still set on feeding kibble, bone broth, and water. So because all the bags, again, have so much salt, have so much carbs that they're losing hydration when they're eating kibble, and they can't absorb it. So
we could make it a little bit better by adding that in?
Water bone broth is the first step.
Bone broth.
Water or bone broth.
But is bone broth high in sodium?
It is, but it has it makes up for it in
all the other nutrients.
All the other nutrients that by adding that, still it's a small win.
Yeah.
Like if you still are set on feeding kibble, by adding bone broth, you're adding at least hydration. They're going to absorb a little bit more of those nutrients.
Okay, and so she was just asking about the canned aspects. So, but if they are, I'm going to pull Blue Buffalo on the screen first. If they're feeding Blue Buffalo in the bag, where does it rate on the scale?
Okay.
Here we go. Okay.
So first, and you can find this on House of Paul's boutique in Canada. She's amazing colleague. She's pet boss. She's a nutritionist. Really follow her.
House of Paws. She told me about them before.
So to grade your kibble, you need to know that what is the first ingredient. The first ingredient should be a named protein. Okay. So whether that's fish, beef, chicken, lamb, that should be number one. Okay. If it's any type of lamb meal, chicken byproducts, that's bad.
Yes.
Find the salt. The salt needs to be 1%, and it should be listed before the salt. The fruits and veggies have to be listed before the salt.
Okay, so protein, named protein, fruits and veggies, salt should be down after that.
Yes.
Okay.
How is it preserved? Is it preserved naturally? And I was pleasantly surprised that most of these foods that I looked up that are the most popular were preserved naturally. There are brands that are preserved not naturally and can have BHA, BHT, ethoquin, and that is found in embalming fluid and jet fuel. And that is allowed to be found in our dog's kibble.
You're giving your dog jet fuel and embalming fluid?
Yes.
For like an embalmer, like we had a mortician day the other day.
To preserve it so it can have a longer shelf life, which is disgusting.
Yes, it is.
It's disgusting.
Now, would you feed that to yourself? No. Would you feed it to your children? No. These animals are your children. Okay. How many foods is that in? A lot?
I'll have to deep down. I was like, what?
So in order for us to know that it's
preserved, it'll say like preserved naturally, high heat. Usually the kibble is processed so high that it's not any nutritional value, but if they're preserving it not with high heat, they're adding all these chemicals.
Embalming and jet fuel in your dog's food. Okay.
Disgusting.
That's gross.
Color. So dogs don't need any color.
No dyes and things like that.
It's literally for us. So the bags of food that you see that look green and red and have it looks like a little carrot and all that, that's actually artificial color, all the dyes. So that is not needed. Carbs. Yep. So you want to check. Most of the bags have 50% carbs to try to get that down because, again, it's just a filler. It's not providing no nutritional. Also look for some brands get real crafty and they do ingredient splitting, which is brown rice, white rice, rice bran. That's all rice. It's all, at the end of the day, it's a filler, but they'll say, I only have 1% of brown rice and 1% of this, but you add it all together. They're just kind of splitting ingredients to fool the consumer.
So if we are going to continue to get kibble, we should be looking for proteins, fruits, veggies.
Yes. And then dog food is allowed to put unidentified, unnamed in there. So if there's anything that's unnamed or a portion of the ingredients that's a byproduct, any words that say animal, vegetable, what animal, like they
So it should
don't
be specific.
because that can be who knows.
No, so let's say this, and there's a lot of questions coming in. We're going to get to in just a second. I want you to understand, I was taught about the byproduct aspect, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And that was the first alarming of, wait, what is a chicken byproduct? All of you that have never heard about byproducts, Jessica, tell them what is in a byproduct.
Everything from the beak to and it can be a deceased animal. So rendering plants for mass produced dog food can have a variety of deceased animals in there.
Gross.
So, yeah.
Come on, this is disgusting.
Because it's not FDA. It's not human grade. So there's for the meat portion of it, it really doesn't matter where the meat comes from. So even if it does say chicken, really do your research on the brand, how they're preserving it and all that. It makes a huge difference.
And yes, this does mean that you're going to be in the dog food store or the grocery store, wherever you're going, and that you're going to be reading labels, or you're going to start shifting and you're going to start making for your dogs food the way you make for yourself.
Yes.
It's the same thing that we talk about. Why is this allowed in our food by the FDA? Well, why is the FDA allowing it to be in your dog's food?
Right. Also, so if people buy kibble for convenience and they think, shelf life, so it doesn't have to take up my fridge or all this. The minute you open a bag of kibble, it starts to go bad, even if you store it in a container. And worse, if you store it in a plastic container, if it's preserved in a toxic way and you're putting it in a plastic container, you're creating all kinds of new toxins. So so
don't give up hope.
Yeah. The fats in the food that are exposed to the light and air, they start to oxidize. And that food, the way that kibble is processed in such a high heat, the last process is they spray fat on it to preserve it. And then it's so fragile once it hits the light and the air that a bag of dog food is technically not good in about 28 days.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Time for your questions. And we're going to get to other brands, by the way. Purina is going to be the next one. We just did Blue Buffalo. If you have any questions, and if you give your dogs Blue Buffalo, you have any other questions about that, let us know. Kristen said, how is Diamond Naturals and Farmer's Dog for your dog? Because yes, there's a lot of marketing for Farmer's Dog.
So Diamond Naturals is actually in here and it didn't grade very well. Farmer's Dog, I didn't dive into, but because it is full of hydration, it's more of a fresher option that would score better than any kibble.
Okay, that's what I would think. And again, you hope, because you're hearing that. How about Nature's Recipe Chicken Pumpkin Sweet Potato?
I didn't
see that one.
Do that one.
We can look on. Any thoughts on salmon oil?
Fantastic.
Okay, good.
Fantastic.
Is there any particular brands, or as long as what should we be looking for in the salmon oil?
I mean, honestly, there is a lot of great. It should be like reasonably sourced, and salmon. Honestly, if you just open up a bag or a can of sardines and
use that oil,
salmon, that's going to be the best thing.
Okay, Renee, I know you would ask that question when we were deep into. I know what she's asking. What is the name of that again? When she was asking about jet fuel or embalming fluid, what are they looking for on it?
They're looking for. If your food is not naturally preserved, they are using the BHA, BHT, or ethoquin.
ETH what?
OXOXQ.
Oxygen?
I don't know. This was this.
Well, look, that's a good point, though, by the way. If you see something and you can't pronounce it.
Yes, you can pull that up in this Forever Dog book.
Who's this by?
So
Rodney Habib?
Yep, and Dr. Karen Becker-Shaw. So she's a veterinarian that wrote this during COVID, and this is also like fact checked with the House of Paws. So in veterinarian school, because a lot of people say, well, my veterinarian recommends XYZ.
Yep.
So they do not teach any nutrition or disease prevention in vet school. You really have to be a vet that is going more the holistic route, doing more research. They get 1 day of nutrition training, and guess who it's brought to them by? The big
Pharma.
the big
What kind of- yep.
pharma.
The Forever Dog. I know. Okay, Jenny just typed it in for you if you want to look. The Forever Dog, and just look for this on Amazon, etc. Okay, there you go. Yes, Renee just spelled it out. That's it. I don't know how to pronounce it. Ethoxyquine is what it looks like, but somebody who knows. The Forever Dog. You have the one. Is this recipes?
So this is like, I would say, a beginner's guide. Your first go-to. You're diving into how I have all the questions. This is really great because it talks about you're not a horrible dog owner if you were feeding kibble, but now that you're educated, here's some small things that you can do. And it talks about great, all the other things we've talked about for natural flea and tick and toxins and what to clean, all kinds of different oils.
We don't need to go and get flea and tick medicine?
No, you can. There's so many essential oils that you can spray. And then this one is my favorite. My dogs love this. It's 120 recipes for the Forever Dog. Very simple, from basic treats to full-blown meals. Really easy and colorful and easy to read.
And this is, again, excuse me, Dr. Karen Shaw Becker and Rodney Habib, #1 New York Times best-selling authors, 120 recipes. So we're talking about longevity for your babies, new science for better bowls and healthier homes. Okay, wait, we're going to get to Purina in just a second. There's so much that you are doing to my life that is so much for the better for the dogs and for all of yours. I have not taken them to the vet to get their vaccinations because we talked about that. She said they should get a titer test. So I am calling the vet today to say, because they were like, did you take the dog to somewhere else? I'm like, no. And I haven't returned the phone call. So I'm like, hang on, I don't know what to do. I don't want to do all these vaccinations if the dogs don't need it. She said on a past show to get a titer test done, then that will show if there's things that they do need to have.
If their levels, if the vaccine has worn out of their system, they no longer have safe limits, then of course vaccinate your dog. But by doing a titer test, and if they have the same levels, they're covered, then why over vaccinate?
But flea and tick medicine, heartworm preventative, we do need to be giving the heart.
I still
What's
do.
your thoughts on all
I still
that?
believe in the heartworm
Yes.
because here in Missouri we see so many rescues. Just the way that our weather is and the humidity and the puddles and the mosquitoes. I'm still now research which one is the better one. And that one really isn't a one size fits all. I would definitely do your own research because there's some that small dogs can't handle. There's some that big dogs, there's some that have flea and tick inside too much. So just concentrating on the heartworm. Yes.
I literally was like, hey, that one takes care of all the hookworms, the heartworms, the flea, the tick. Yeah, that's it. Give it. I just need her to be attached to my hip, right? All right, let's go back to this. So we're talking about what's in your dog's food. Good questions coming in so far. Feel free to drop any others. What do you give your dogs? And do you think that maybe it's on this list and maybe they're dropping down to an F? I don't know. Purina Dog Chow and all of the other brands, because you may be giving them Purina or you may be giving them something else that's actually in the whole Purina brand. So where do they fall?
They got an F.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
So Purina, so we did Purina Pro Plan, which is owned by Nestle, that makes chocolate bars and a whole bunch of other things. It's mass production. So they did have a named protein, but they are one of the brands that uses a lot of corn, which is then goes back to the glyphosate and all the that they're using. No fruits and veggies in Purina Pro Plan and way too much salt. And it was preserved naturally. They have 40% carbs, but they have tons of byproducts and unnamed ingredients.
Oh, Purina?
They also have 5 class action lawsuits
against them
for recalls and dog deaths. So, and the way that it's produced and all their ingredients, so basically, like whether it's Purina 1, Purina Pro Plan, like all the different ones, that corn is going to be used in this batch and that batch and that batch. So when you have a recall, it might be too late to decide if it's just this bag or just that bag.
Purina again, and then anything made by Purina? Is there anything that's under their brand?
I can't say yes or no,
but the Pro Plan.
Their plan was an F.
So I want to say this as we're going along to do this. All of this information that we're giving you is coming from
House of Paws, a nutritionist.
All from House of Paws, which again is out of Canada. So we've done, An F. And Blue Buffalo, what was their grade?
So Blue Buffalo actually got a C.
Okay.
So they're owned by General Mills.
Okay.
They have a named protein. But red flag is they use fish meal. Fish meal could be who knows what.
The meals and the byproducts is what we have to watch.
Lots of salt. It was preserved naturally. They're higher in carbs, and they use a natural color, which the natural color isn't needed, but it was a caramel natural color instead of a red dye. But they also have 14 class action lawsuits against them. Yes. Now, but overall, they were one of the higher kibbles that scored a C, a better grade than the rest of these. And there was actually a campaign. So you know how when Blue Buffalo came out, everybody was like, oh, this grain-free, it's all meat and, whatever, but it's actually 42% carbs. And because they use a lot of potatoes, which potatoes then turn to sugar. And a lot of the blogs that came out saying that food was causing heart disease because it was too much was those people were actually on Hill's payroll. So they did a counter campaign against them.
All right. So I'm just going to say for all of you that are just tuning in, again, Jessica Cooke, she has done this deep dive for you. We're talking about things from House of Paws, again, out of Canada. These are the brands that you all asked about last time. There's so many more, and we could probably do a continuing series on this. I heard a long, long time ago, because a veterinarian went to give my dog, and I don't remember what was wrong with her at the time, Science Diet. And my friend, who's like you, very deep into researching, she's like, don't give that to your dogs. You agree with that aspect?
I agree. So Science Diet is owned by Colgate-Palmolive. And they're one of the oldest brands of dog food. It was, I guess, and it's in the Forever Dog book. It was like the 1900s, and he figured out how people were scraping together, and he was drying food. Like basically, it wasn't this genius formula that came together. It was he was a great salesman who figured out how to sell people a bag of crackers for their dog, and they thought it was convenient. And then that's how Hills came about. And so their fruits and veggies are so low, you're lucky if one blueberry is in a whole bag of their dog food. It is preserved naturally. There's no color. They have a named protein. There's a ton of salt. It's 56% carbs, which is crazy to me because the vets sell a lot of this food.
I know.
And that is one of the highest carb bags of food causing sugar, cancer, inflammation.
Well, that's so that they'll return to the vet.
Exactly. And the prescription food that you have to get like behind the counter at the vet, it's just a trademarked name. It's a good sales tactic.
Yes, good branding.
There's no prescription, anything about it. What they do is it's ingredient swapping. So the same Science Diet that you buy at the store, they take the prescription food, sell it for a lot more, and instead of corn, rice, wheat, they change it to wheat, rice, corn, and charge you more. That's it.
Again, this is so educational. You've heard the old adage in the past, like the FDA and Big Pharma are in bed with the doctors, right? They always say it's only to keep us coming back. And now, wouldn't you say it kind of feels like the same thing with this?
Yes. They also have the biggest recall in decades. They had a toxic amount of vitamin D in their food for over a year, and thousands of dogs died, and they didn't recall it till a year later. So they're still in a class action lawsuit. And
we're talking about a lot of class action lawsuits, again, with several of these brands. Let's see. Alicia just said, from salmon, LA veg recipe.
I didn't do that one, but Honest Kitchen's coming up.
Honest Kitchen's coming. Okay. All right. So the acidity of the fats, Renee said earlier. I brought up on the screen a little early because we jumped around a little bit, but Royal Canin.
So they're owned by Mars, which again, lots of other
chocolate
products.
Bars.
Yep. Mass production. The number one ingredient is brewer's yeast.
Yes. And it's in mass production.
Yes. And salt is first.
That's the first ingredient?
It's, before all the fruits and veggies. So again, less than one blueberry in a bag of food.
Okay.
They didn't add any color. It's 43% carbs. It has 3 harmful ingredients, 28 controversial ingredients, and tons of byproducts. This is a total F.
Royal Canin got an F. Purina got an F. A C went to Blue Buffalo. Science Diet got an F. A lot of Fs on here. Did anybody get an A? Nothing.
Yes.
Oh, there.
Yeah,
Okay, hang on.
I got.
All right.
I pulled up 2 A's.
The next one on the list is Kirkland.
Yeah. So they're owned by Diamond Pet, which again, a lot of these large corporations, it's kind of like, Dr. Pepper, Sprite, Orange, Fanta. So they change the bag, they change that, but a lot of the recipes are still the same, and they're just charging more. So Diamond Pet, it's one of the 6 largest pet food companies, and so they have the Kirkland brand. So they have a name protein, tons of salt. It is naturally preserved, no color. It's 45% carbs, and they do ingredient splitting. So instead of the bag calling it lamb and rice, it should be rice and lamb. They have so much, so more rice and all the other names for rice than the amount of meat that's actually in the food. So it's just like feeding your dog a bag of popcorn.
Oh, wonderful. Again, we're looking for nutritional value for the babies. So honestly,
they got a D though versus a F because they don't have any harmful ingredients. They don't have any of there was no recalls recently and no lawsuits. Yeah.
So we're giving, again, this show, I don't want it to be like doom and gloom.
Yeah.
I want it to be education.
Yeah.
And then you try to find some hope out of it. So, all right, how about, well, go ahead, go through some other ones.
So those are all the ones that I did. So
that were bad?
That were bad. And then, so we often say like, we prefer salmon or whitefish named protein for our kibble, for our rescues, if we're going to feed that, because, so again, go back to the 70% hydration and how dogs can absorb. So the biological value, meaning every amino acid the body can metabolize, dogs can only metabolize 79% of chicken and can be less if they have an intolerance to it. So that's why dogs don't do well on chicken.
Right.
Beef is a little bit better, but 83% a dog's body can metabolize a fish product. So fish is better. And actually an egg. So the one tip, if you're still going to feed kibble, a dog can absorb 100% of a raw egg, meaning that if you put a raw egg on their kibble, they're getting 100% of all that amino acids and nutrition.
Okay, so again, let's go back and kind of break this down. So if you are going to continue to do kibble, and maybe hopefully you go from an FD to a C kibble, then if we put, let me ask this, if we put the water or the bone broth on it and an egg, are we doing better?
Doing way better.
There we go. I just made it a little bit easy.
Way better.
As you start to transition to the other aspects of it, and then look for more fish-based than chicken. She actually, as well as my friend Julie, they both got me to say, don't look for chicken anymore.
No,
Fish.
Chicken, dogs just can't process it. And so it's also old school thinking, my dog has a stomach ache. I'm going to boil some chicken. I'm going to make it some rice. Well, they can't. It's like one of the worst things you can do for a dog's upset stomach. And everybody recommends it because they can't process chicken well. And rice ferments in their gut and they don't need it. They don't have any need for carbohydrates. So they're actually getting a little sicker or might not feel well. The best thing you can do is pumpkin, just a scoop of pumpkin, some Greek yogurt, and then since dogs can do process beef a little bit better, some boiled hamburger.
That's what we've done before. Okay, so by the way, some of these things you might not have on hand, you might want to keep on hand for that. Richard just said, so an egg a day keeps the vet away.
Yeah, yes, it'll keep them hydrated, and it's like giving them a vitamin. Yeah.
Eggs are so expensive though these days.
I know. Well, lucky for my dogs, I have chickens.
That's it. We got to get chickens. All right, hang on, Kristen and anybody else. We're gonna flip. Do we have any other bad ones on the list?
No,
we're gonna flip
to good. We're gonna flip to the two.
We're gonna flip to the good ones. Okay, so for all of you that are looking for hope, the hope is coming right after the break.
Is so outdated and old.
Let's take down this wall.
Or just replace the furniture.
I love it.
New sofa, chaise lounge, and tables from Carroll House. Because you like nice things.
Create beautiful gardens and landscaped areas with everything you need at Hoffman Hillerman Nursery and Florist.
A great selection of outdoor and indoor plants, gardening items, landscape materials, lawn and garden equipment, and much more. Hoffman Hillerman Nursery and Florist.
Okay, and let's just talk about them. How sweet is this? It smells really incredible in here.
That's beautiful.
They sent this to, yesterday I did Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. And when I showed up, they were like, Monica, this was dropped off for you. So this was a little sneak peek into how absolutely beautiful everything is at Hoffman Hillerman Nursery. Mom, can you take this from me? Thank you. So I smell the lilies, which I absolutely love. My mom's very into gardening. And if you're like her, then you might want to come to, thank you, our mobile Monica, which will be at Hoffman Hillerman Nursery. Have you ever been there, by the way?
I haven't.
I hadn't either. It's in Washington, Missouri.
Okay.
So March 26th, this will be a 10 a.m. show. So mark it on the calendar. I will not be doing a show at 7 a.m. that morning. So March 26th, and they've got these potting bar private classes for two, which are kind of cool. So if you don't have a green thumb and you want to better yourself in your planting, your gardening, etc., and then if you want to get fresh flowers and you are in that Washington, Missouri area, or you want to travel out and just take a really wonderful ride, go and stop by. We always ask you to support those that support us, which includes Jessica. Again, you hear the babies. They're excited. And there's a baby that showed up here that we're going to show at the end of the show. All that noise that we heard was for a rock star that showed up, isn't it?
Yes.
Who is it?
It's Jalapeno. His
what?
mom's going on a cruise and he came in yelling, I am back.
Hi, friends. I'm living my best life. Yes, a lot of you remember the story of Jalapeno. Jalapeno was adopted. Jalapeno has its own Facebook page. Actually, I'll have Jenny drop it in case any of you do not follow Jalapeno. Jalapeno is just so in love.
He's living his best
Yes,
life.
yes. I'm so happy.
Yes.
Just so happy.
And the way that he got dropped off, she's like, I feel like I'm dropping my kid off. He came in a stroller with suitcases and all the things, and it just makes us so happy.
We're going to see him. So don't go anywhere. We're going to see him in just a second. Kristen, thank you for all of this education for our best friends. Some very sad info. Oh, my brother, who makes his own dog food, rescued 7 different dogs of different ages, and most of them bigger dogs lived until they were 17. Yes. So it's changing that. Richard, we have chickens. Okay. If you have questions, by the way, about your dog's food or treats, or how you do this transition, drop any comments in. Let us know. If we don't see them this morning, I'll tag Jessica for sure later. Okay. Who's good on the list?
Okay, 2 winners. So Honest Kitchen.
I don't know about them.
They're independent. They literally started in a kitchen, and it's small batch. You can get them at most boutiques. I do think one of the big box stores sells them too. They are one of the only foods that is certified human grade.
Oh, okay.
So meaning you could eat it if you wanted to too.
Oh,
but
here, a little bit for you, Tess, a little bit for Mama.
But by doing that, then it significantly reduces the risk of all those toxins and anything. So yeah, I was really surprised that they were human grade. That's huge, because they have to have literally, even from the warehouse, how it's produced has to have so many more guidelines than mass production dog food. It's like they're baking stew for humans. So that is huge. And it's dehydrated clusters. So it's not kibble. It's not high processed kibble, but it looks like, it's just dehydrated clusters. So the way that, because it didn't have to go through that high heat, it's holding all that value. They just dehydrated it.
Okay.
Every name protein has very low salt, preserved naturally, no color. It was an A. So
an A.
An A.
Wow.
An A. So you add water to fluff
if you're
it
just
up.
tuning in, honest, yes. Alicia said, I was just going to ask, where do we get Honest Kitchen? She says that Petco sells it. Where else can we get it though?
Yeah.
I like to support small.
I would say unfortunately, if the big box stores are selling it, a lot of the small stores won't sell it. They sell more of the boutique-y special needs foods, which I encourage everyone, if they've never gone to a small independently owned pet store, go in. They usually have certified nutritionists there. They have all the testing, talk through all the questions like, hey, I want to keep it simple, but what is the best? Right. And they carry all the small batches in there.
Okay. So if you've never had that, look into Honest Kitchen. Another A went to
Primal.
Where do we get Primal?
Primal's great. I also think Petco might sell that as well.
Okay.
Named protein. They have no salt. tons of fruits and veggies loaded with it, no color, preserved naturally, and it's freeze dried. So another way of preserving things without using high heat, keeping all that in. So those are the two. So easy food. So what you would do is just pour it in the bowl, add some water, add some bone broth to it, let it sit, stir it around. Amazing.
I think this is what Opus is going to want, Mom. She just said Opus will snub his nose up to food, but then you put cheese on it and he eats it.
Yes. So we always keep these in-house here.
Okay.
If we have a picky eater, a dog that's not drinking enough water, and they love this.
Alicia just said Treats Unleashed sells it too. I love Treats Unleashed. I love them. So here's the deal. Do a little social media check-in and text your friends to let them know that we are giving an education today. So you can see on Facebook, on Rumble, on X, unfortunately Instagram and LinkedIn and all of them don't populate on this. But right now we've got about 40 of you on and asking all these questions. So yes, Renee just wanted to know. Here's the cover of that book again, please. I'll go a little closer to the screen. Yeah. So this is called The Forever Dog. Jenny did drop it in for you a little earlier, letting you know who the authors were. Finding it wherever you want. The Forever Dog, and this is the recipe book, The Forever Dog Life. So we're giving you a lot of aha moments. What about treats? What are the best treats for us to give them?
Single ingredient treats. So things as simple as just a jerky treat that is and they come in a variety. You can buy them in lamb and beef and chicken, cod skins, freeze dried, minnows are great, rabbit ears, all the things that are just single ingredients. So stay away from a lot of the cookies and the crackers and all
we did get rid of the milk bones as soon as we did the show a few weeks ago. And then I started going, well, should we give them this? A lot of people are like, oh, I didn't think I could give them blueberries, but frozen blueberries.
Oh, yeah, that's
they
great.
Love those.
They love that.
Yeah. Bananas, like little bananas.
Bananas,
frozen.
all the things. Just kind of sprinkle on top and slowly take some of that kibble away and just be filling that. It makes a huge difference.
Let's see. My Nigel goes to Treats Unleashed. I know I do. I love them. So vegetables, what would be the best vegetables? Is there some that are higher than others?
I would say like anything green is really easy to add. Carrots are great. Carrots are, one of those things where some dogs eat them raw, some dogs don't. We often do that here with the rescues, and some are like, no, go ahead and cook those. I need those softer for me. And then some eat them raw as a crunchy snack. So
will they eat the greens? I mean, my Adelaide does, but Tessa looks at it like I'm not eating that broccoli or asparagus, Mom.
Yeah, I have my big Mastiff does not eat anything green. I've tried, so he gets more of the other stuff.
Can you put something on it? Like it's okay. Let's think about your kids. Right? Kids don't want to eat their vegetables. So what do you put on it? You might put cheese on it. What can we put on the greens?
It's something really easy to do too, is putting it all in a crock pot, letting it simmer and mixing it all together and then adding all that in there. So then it's kind of like a meat. You can also mix it all together and put it in your oven and make a loaf and cut portions of it and put it in the fridge, and you're pulling out a loaf for them to eat.
So if you start to change, or when you start to change from the kibble that you may have been serving them 2 times a day, if you start feeding them this other way that we're talking about, how often do they eat? Is it once?
That's debatable. There's a lot of research that says you should only feed your dog once a day. Some people, my dogs would throw a fit just because.
Mine too.
But the amount we're feeding too, a lot of people way overfeed their dogs.
Yeah.
So or throughout the day, like our trainers here, they don't really have meal times for their dogs because they are giving them a little bit of the food all day long. And
keeping them exercise.
So they don't have like a full meal time. They're using it as rewards and treats, and that's why their dogs are so good. They're constantly getting snacks.
So you hear about all the things that they should have. They should have proper food. They should be exercised. They should have their nap times. You should play with them. If these simple things are followed, you're going to have a really happy, healthy dog. Renee just said, darn, I have peanut butter milk bones.
And it's all about balance. Like let's be honest, like sometimes I go to McDonald's and I need some fries.
All right, it's the honesty.
But also, you know, I need to make sure I'm eating the majority of
it's 80-20, folks.
80-20. So yes, it's not going to be in a perfect world, and there's balance. But it shouldn't but kibble, if you're feeding that to them all the time, that's detrimental to their health.
So. Well, it would be like you feeding them McDonald's every single day. Yes. And we've seen what hamburgers and fries look like 10 years later that they haven't changed. Right. Isn't that a problem? Yeah. Carly, who's on Instagram, said, I am absolutely loving this. Thank you. You're welcome. She is an unbelievable wealth of knowledge, isn't she? I just absolutely adore you. Let's see. Audra says, this is fantastic information. My dogs say, woof, which is thank you for making our meals more delicious and nutritious. We loved our egg this morning. Yay. So if you're just getting ready to feed them, put that on, or maybe if you're doing it for dinner as well. All these simple little shifts. Anything else in your research that we didn't get a chance to say?
Oh gosh, no? I don't think so. But if anybody has any other questions, save it for next time. We'll look it up.
Yeah. And this is so because of spring break, Jessica will not be back with us in a couple of weeks. But I want to showcase the babies here like I did last time. So if you remember last month, I went through. Can I do that again? Yeah. And show the one. Okay. So how many are here up for adoption?
I think there's 24 here.
Wow.
Dumpling's still here.
No,
Dumpling's still here. And she went to 2 events last week. Everyone's like, what type of dog is that? And we're like, it's a Shiba Inu. Nobody knows.
How is Jenny, do you need a dog? Because this is the best Shiba Inu ever. I have 3.
And you should have 4.
Well, see, Jim, I agree with that comment. Jenny just said that I should have 4. Jim's going to fire you. I agree. If you did not meet Dumpling in the past, actually, Jenny, will you go to Pet Finder and find Dumpling for me and drop it in? That's where you want to go to find these dogs and then come to meet and greets. Please don't call Yuppy Puppy's main line because that is for all the other aspect of their business, boarding, etc.
Yep. And it's spring break. So we're reservation busy up there.
Yes.
But we have an open house. We're doing a Lucky Charm St. Patrick's Day weekend. So today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Monday, we're having open houses.
Come see Dumpling. Dumpling is my little mascot of our show. Dumpling is adorable. I'm going to see Dumpling today then. Kristen, a lot of great information. I will need to go back and rewatch this. You will. I would highly recommend hanging on to this show and then do this for us as we always ask you to do. Please share, like, follow our live stream. A lot of you might believe that you have actually clicked follow. And there's friends and family where I look and it's still great and it says invited. I'm like, you haven't done it. You have to click follow. That's way you will always get notified when we're going live for you and giving you shows of education. We've cried together. We've laughed together. We've had one heck of a ride and we're here for you. So we're going to take our final break. And when we come back, we're going to see Jalapeno is here. I can't wait to squeeze him. Don't go anywhere. That's how we will wrap up the show.
This lady got me in the best shape of my life. I literally didn't know that I could be in shape like that. But the amount that she pours into her clients, and especially whenever you get the one-on-one training, it's mind-blowing. I mean, it was really life-changing. I learned so much about proper form, about nutrition, about just being able to invest in myself. I hired Monica to be my personal trainer, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
What's up, y'all? Steve Ewing over here, and I'm hanging out with Monica Adams on the Monica Adams Show. It was awesome to be able to come in here, talk about what we do, and really kind of have some positive things to say about our city, about St. Louis, all the really cool things happening here. Such a great environment here, and I love her energy, and I love the energy she puts into telling these stories about the really cool things happening in our city. Thanks, Monica, for having me on the show. This was amazing. I get to talk about all my good stuff, and you get to give them that energy, which I love. So thank you very much.
Look You look great. You've been having a good life, haven't you? You want to tell us all about it? Have you been sleeping good? I think you've been eating good. Look at this. Look at that. Look how big he got. What do you want to tell us? Yeah. That was right on cue. You're having a good life. How long is he here?
He's here a week.
A week. So mom, who adopted, which is the greatest story of all, mom lives what, a mile from you?
Around the corner from me this whole time.
This entire time, right there in front of her and living his best life. Jalapeno has his own Facebook page, and you will see your star, sleeping well, playing well, right? Are you having a good time in life? Yes. What else do you want to say?
Yeah.
This is what's always interesting. People have said, oh, when the dogs come back, do they think they're going back to the rescue? No,
they know. It's the weirdest thing. I think it's the energy in the room from the leash and the owners. Like, they know when they're being returned, and they know when they're coming back to show up. We heard him. He came in yelling like, "I am here," and he was running in the back, so happy to see everybody. He's already set up in his room, and we love to be part of their adventure the rest of their life.
Jalapeno has and it's true because he's got a tag on here. It says Scooter because he just flies around. You remember that, Mom? Yeah, my mom's like, I can't keep up with that dog. Richard, before we wrap up, he said he had to take a phone call, missed the best dog food. What was it again? We had two.
Anna's Kitchen and Primal.
Anna's Kitchen and Primal. Oh, and so Jenny just dropped it in the comments for you. So Anna's Kitchen and Primal. So go back. She drops all these things in for you so that you have the information, and then you can go and wherever you find it. So maybe you make that transition. But Richard, we also talked about if you do have kibble, to make it better, put water on it, put bone broth on it, put an egg on it. Now you're starting to get some nutrients back in for the babies. What do you eat? What? You eat all the good stuff.
Yep. Same. My mom cooks for me.
You eat salmon. I can smell it.
Yep.
My friend, I love you. This has been an incredible show. I've got some favorites that we have done over the last year. This is such an educational one.
And this is a perfect timing for a show. If you go back and see his first couple pictures of when he came in, we changed that through his diet with no medication.
I remember that. He was inflamed
and itchy and yeast infections and everything. And the food, the fresh food really straightened him back up.
You are a true testimonial to what will happen when we feed you right. You did cute.
He's like, and it tastes pretty good too.
Thank you for making an appearance. You're so sweet. I love you. Love you as well. All of you, share this show. Go back, like Kristen and many others were saying, go back and watch the entire show. Take pieces of it. Start to make the changes. And the biggest thing that we want to say is do not anger, shame, fear yourself because of the way life was. Just make those changes and then watch how things are better. Make things better for your babies. Also pay attention to what you're putting in your own body. All those things absolutely matter. All right, everybody, we're going to wrap up tomorrow. We've got Dot Fleshman, real estate extraordinaire. She's got some really interesting information about the real estate market and do's and don'ts, kind of like what we did today. Do's and don'ts of decorating, do's and don'ts to sell the home. What's going on with the economy right now? Is that affecting anything with regards to real estate? And then we move into our Friendship Friday aspect. We're going to talk about National Potato Chip Day, which is tomorrow. We're going to talk about, I know it's processed. I know. We're going to talk about St. Patrick's Day festivities and all the ones that we've gone to down in Dogtown. And then she said she's got some surprises because she says, wink, wink, somebody's got a birthday coming up. Yes, it's me. My birthday's next week. I don't know what she has planned to drop onto the show, but we'll find out all of that tomorrow morning. So join us right here, 7 a.m. Such great content. Your shows are always perfect for me. Well, thank you. I'm so glad for that. Again, continue to share this with your family and friends. Just take this. We'll also be doing a lot of this in our stories and reels so that you all can take some pieces and then share that around. We'll do it on Instagram. We'll do it on Facebook, and we'll put it on TikTok as well. Follow them on all their social medias as well, and come to the meet and greets and the open houses so you can find your forever baby. Everybody have a fantastic day, and remember to be